So, what actually is happening right now? Hey, everybody, welcome to After Action Report, your recap show for all 29 matches to keep you caught up on all the action. I am your host, Megs, here for the Call to Action podcast channel. Today, we're breaking down all the stats and all the storylines from Friday Night Titans episode 8. Without further ado, let's just jump right into it. In our first scene, we see Kaiser and Smets talking, and they come to the conclusion that there is no way that they can let the Stars take their spotlight away on Friday Night Titans. Kaiser puts a call into Gucci while Gucci's trying to sell some books to somebody. Kaiser offers for Barbarian and Gold Leader to have a teams match against Janine and her new team partner. Gucci ends up agreeing, and it turns out he was trying to sell books to his grandmother. So as always, you never know what you're going to get when you see Gucci on the screen, and that does not disappoint. But what is interesting is that Kaiser apparently already has a team partner for Janine. Do we think maybe it's Smets? Leave down in the comments what your thoughts were when you first saw this scene. We see that our first match is indeed with the exclusives, which are the Barbarian and Gold Leader, and Janine creating her new team called The System with someone that is known as the Database. Now, while it was not explicitly said in the episode itself, we do understand that the Database is actually a fan known as Eric Chan. You may have seen him in the chats all throughout the past couple seasons answering questions. He is now someone who has been brought in to the MTS as an official competitor. But coming out of round one, the System is up by 3, 19-16, with Barbarian coming away with 11 points, the Database with 10, Janine with 9, and Gold Leader with 5. With the Database and Barbarian both going perfect, but Database missing the bonus question, putting him 1 point behind Barbarian. In round two, the System defers to the exclusives to spin first, and they take a wild card on their first spin, which ends up being Spinner's choice, and they choose Star Wars, where the exclusives are able to sweep the round for the full 10 points. The System, on their spin, take Frank Capra on the first attempt, and they also sweep their category for the full 10 points. This means that the System is still up by 3, 29-26. So we're going to pause here just for a sec to say that it was hilarious to see that Gold Leader had to use a repeat on the very first question in a Star Wars category, much to the Barbarians' chagrin. It was a good comedic moment inside of this match. Coming into round three, Gold Leader hits his 2-pointer in comic book movies, and Barbarian hits his 3-pointer in the 2000s. That sends it back to the System, where Janine hits a 2-pointer in Denzel Washington, which then ties the game at 31. But the Database is up next, and he hits his 3-pointer in animated. This bounces it back over to the exclusives, who hit their 5-pointer in the 1980s, and that forces the System to answer a 5-pointer in Oscars, which they hit, and this gives the System the win with a final score of 39-36, where the System answered 27 of 29 questions for 93% accuracy and scored 93% of 42 available points. The exclusives answered 24 of 29 questions for 83% accuracy and scored 86% of 42 available points. So aside from the misses in round one, both teams were able to go perfect through round two and round three. Impressive debut for two teams. So we see the Gold Leader was able to hold his own, especially given the fact that they got Star Wars in their round two category. But getting only 5 points in round one is not necessarily something that you want to see from a team that you want to see compete at the high level in the team's division. On the other side, the Database was very impressive in his round one and his first foray into the studio. And in general, he just seems really happy to be here, which was really cool to see that dynamic between him, Janine, who is coming in as the veteran player of this dynamic, and of course you have Kaiser as the mouthpiece and manager that he is. In round three, it was fun to see the dynamic with Elvis on the team because you saw him bounce back and forth between the two competitors, whoever was answering their respective questions. So technically, I guess Elvis gets credit for all 3 of those round 3 points. As of right now, we are assuming that King Arthur is still the main team for the Finstock Exchange. While it was fun to get to see Barbarian get on a team with Gold Leader, Time will tell, again, if they get another shot or if King Arthur will be able to come back and take over more of the dominance in the teams division for the Finstock Exchange. In our next scene, we see Gucci trying to sell something else, only this time it's a TV from inside the studio. But then he ends up calling Barbarian, and they both aren't happy with the loss. And Gucci says that it's time for a change. So it appears that even with the giant dossier, the Finstock Exchange were a little broadsided by seeing the database there. Time will tell how these guys adjust and what kind of change do you think Gucci is going to bring? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. We move now to our main event match, which is the appointment, Nick Harley and Mr. Irwin, up against the new team of top dogs, which is Adam Gertler and Eric Zipper. Coming out of round one, the appointment is up by 4, 17-13, with Mr. Irwin getting 9 points, Nick Harley and Eric Zipper getting 8 points, and Adam Gertler coming away with 5 points. In round two, the appointment defers to the top dogs, who spin away from the marshals and end up taking Sly and Arnie. Top dogs are able to come away with 7 out of 10 points, checking down the multiple choice once, misses 1 question on 2 points, and has it stolen for 2 points by the appointment. On the appointment's first spin, they take Jack Nicholson and come away with 8 out of 10 points, miss 1 question for 2 points, but it is not stolen. And this gives the appointment a gain of 3 points to now be up by 7, 27-20, going into the final round, where Gertler is able to hit a 2-pointer in Morgan Freeman, Zipper hits his 3-pointer in Spy Films, and as a team, they hit a 5-pointer in DC that sends it back over to the appointment, where Nick Harley hits his 2-pointer in Martin Scorsese, and Mr. Irwin hits a 3-pointer in Streaming, which does give the appointment the win with a final of 32-30, where the appointment answered 24 of 28 questions for 86% accuracy and scored 82% of 39 available points. Top dogs answered 20 of 29 questions for 69% accuracy and scored 68% of 44 available points. Now, I think overall this was an expected outcome, with Nick Harley being a former FCL champion and Mr. Irwin also being a former MTS champion. One would expect that they would be able to get a win, but it was good to see that the top dogs were able to push the appointment to have to answer those questions in round 3. This could have very well ended up in a TKO situation, but with the proficiency in that final round, they were able to push it into almost the full distance of the match. And we actually haven't seen Adam Gertler in the MTS since 2018 when he was playing with DC Movie News. Now, he was in the FCL this last year, but as far as the MTS goes, we haven't seen him in quite a few years. And yes, we did see he was able to come away with 5 out of 10 points there in round 1. As I said earlier, that's not ideal when you want a top contending team. But again, there was some fun lightheartedness to this team, and Gertler and Zipper just wanting to be friends, which was a nice alternative to the appointment, which are all business, which for the Stars is very much in line with what they're about. I did enjoy the moment in the postmaster interview where Mr. Irwin said that Harley was a younger version of himself, which fit because they actually both missed the same question in round 1. The second question, actually, where Zipper was the only one that got it, it was who was not in the trial of the Chicago 7. So overall, I think the appointment has a good chance of making a run here, but there are a lot of new teams that have come up in the teams division this year. So time will tell what other teams come up, how they will fare against the ones that we've already seen, and what will happen when they finally get to face Shazam or whoever the new title champion is. That leads us right into our final scene, where we see Chance sitting by himself. Shannon comes in, encourages him, because Chance seems down on himself for not doing what he was brought in to do, and that was win. Mike comes in, and Shannon lays out their options for this upcoming title match, where Mike and Chance both agree to go after the belts once again. But once again, we see Shannon being very encouraging with her competitors, not letting Chance get too down himself, encouraging him, reminding him that he was near a title shot and actually got a title shot in this last season. So time is going to tell what happens when this new dynamic and new attitude for corruption hedges up against Shazam. Now, with all the changes that we're seeing with corruption, Shannon, with Ben the Boss Bateman, with the stars, I think Andrew Guy pretty much summed it up best with what is happening this season. I, for one, am very excited for all the changes and everything that's happening so far in this very young season. Leave your thoughts and comments down below with what you think could be happening over the next few weeks. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode, but don't worry, I'll be right back here next week talking all things Friday Night Titans. And don't forget, we have the free-for-all coming up this next week. I'm going to be doing a special classified edition breaking down that entire event. If you haven't already, please make sure you've hit like on this video, that you are subscribed to the channel, and please leave comments either here or at the socials down below. The match breakdowns that I present here will be posted on Twitter and Facebook. And until next time, for the entire Call to Action podcast crew, I'm your host, Megs. This is After Action Report, signing off.